Hello and welcome to the Godot community. My name is Sahir Dean. I'm the virtual PLC lead for high school 2D art. In today's webinar, I'll be reflecting on what worked and what might not have gone so well this school year. So in terms of what worked, I always like to start with the positive. Definitely having student bins and portfolios. I do the portfolios every year. This year, actually last year, I introduced bins at every single table. So inside the bin was a set of markers, a set of color pencil, and these are just basic things. So I kept like my Prismacolor color pencils, my more expensive ones in a different area. But the basic set of markers, basic set of color pencils, always kept some pencils in there just because, how that goes with pencils. Students not coming prepared with pencils. Erasers, like one or two erasers, and I would cut it like in half or in a fourth, like the big pink erasers. They tend to keep up with the smaller ones better than like a large eraser for some reason. Rulers, scissors, glue, and a pencil sharpener, if I didn't say pencil sharpener, and a roll of tape. So I found that helped, in terms of students not having to migrate around the room and things like that. It helped them not feel so pressured to always have to remember to bring a pencil because it would be in their bin. And then what I had in my classroom was an overflow cabinet. So like extra markers or extra pencils in case the pencils were broken or ruined or whatever. They knew where to get those materials from, so they could kind of resupply their bin if they needed to. Portfolios, of course, this is something I started in my first year of teaching, but it just helps to keep work organized. This year, last year actually, I was given some of the portfolios that the AP Port gets shipped off in, so like the little brown, kind of heavier duty portfolios. And I gave those to my Draw Paint 1, 2, 3, 4 classes. My AP classes had like kind of a fabric portfolio. My Intro to Art classes had a portfolio made out of poster board. So it was kind of their, upgrade once they got past intro, was see a somewhat of a nicer portfolio. So they check those portfolios out for the school year. They know they can take those home, but it helps to keep all the work organized. So I'm not keeping up with any work. It's all on the student, which goes into our next point about student accountability. Of course, during the COVID years, grading, it was different, right? There weren't as many deadlines, like you couldn't really take off late points and things like that. So I was kind of excited to get back into more student accountability just because I found student work was better and they were a little more motivated by the grade, which is really unfortunate that we're in that type of environment. But, so there it is, right? That it is what it is. But definitely there's more student accountability this year. So I was taking off late points, when things were late. And I found that, students were able to kind of reflect on, or see that the late points were being taken off, because I would put a note in -10 for being 2 weeks late. So they would make that adjustment a lot of times for the next assignment. More exposure, more visibility. So this really, for me, was important because it allowed students to be out in the hallways working. So we had one project, which is here with the larger portrait with the glasses, where students actually worked in the hallways, standing up on easels. So people walking by actually got to see them work, which was really nice. Students got to hear immediate feedback from people walking by and seeing them work, which was really cool. So with the cool thing about easels, we were able to move to different parts of the school. So in the main hallway, for example, or, by the very front of the school, they were able to take all their work with them to work. So that was really cool. Our National Art Honor Society group was able to also be more visible by doing more Free Art Fridays, more like working in the hallway, like during concerts or in the morning time. One thing my school had this year was a monthly art celebration. So music would perform if the dance department wanted to perform, but it was all like in the front of the cafeteria. So art students would bring up an easel and they would work on, whatever project they might want to showcase, or if it was a mural, a portable mural, they could showcase that. Middle school collaboration went really well, but I definitely want to do more of that next year. Our National Art Honor Society currently actually is doing a collaborative project where they start a work of art, and then they send it to the middle school for the middle school to add to it, and then they send it back to the high school. So it's a really cool kind of exchange project they're doing that one of our officers came up with. But we started Art Buddies program this year. So in the fall semester, we drew names, the middle school drew names, and I reached out to the elementary school, but it was a little more difficult to connect with them because of the times they met with their students or something like that. So it worked out with the middle school group, but essentially they're connected with an art buddy that they get to work with or exchange art with throughout the school year. So this is a really cool thing that we'll continue doing next year. And also, it, of course, will give the middle school students some connection when they come to high school the following year. Field trips are always awesome. I cannot plan enough field trips. I do want to plan more next year. So we were able to go to the High Museum of Art. We were able to go to SCAD. We were able to take some workshops at SCAD. There is actually, I would love to do a international field trip. If possible, I would like to go to the zoo, take students there to be able to draw, live draw the animals. We went to the Atlanta Botanical Gardens where students were able to take photographs and draw right there on scene. So, and then we actually did a daytime gallery hop, which was really cool. So I emailed and called galleries in a certain area of Atlanta. And they opened their doors for students just to be able to walk in and out. So we were able to go to like 10 galleries that day, which was really awesome. So field trips are always a win in my book. They take a lot to plan, but they're definitely worthwhile. So some areas of improvement for me, next year, I'd like to have a weekly open studio requirement for AP students. So this will encourage students to have to work outside of classroom time. I found that was one challenge for a couple of my AP students this year. Be it, work or, siblings they had to take care of or whatever. So if they're able to work a set time into their schedule to where they know they have to stay after school every Thursday, or come in every Thursday morning, for example, I feel like that'll only be a benefit for them in terms of working outside of class time. Debating on doing lab fees, and this is a controversial, kind of thing. I think lab fees, just because, for me, I feel that lab fees would encourage more ownership of supplies. So what I'm imagining in the perfect world is that once the student pays for the lab fees, they're given a tote of materials to use for the whole school year. So it could be a nice set of markers or, a set of drawing pencils, a sketchbook, something like that. But things that they could actually keep up with and, use for the school year. So, that's still an area I'm trying to figure out if we should do or we should not do. Definitely want to do more field trips, as I mentioned. Definitely would like to plan one out the country, maybe in a couple of years. So, that's one thing I've never done is even an in-state or out-of-state field trip with students. I've never done that. So that's on my bucket list of things to do as a teacher. And then an alternative display project. So with this project, this is a lesson that I'm planning to do next year, is going to encourage students while they're planning or in the process of ideation, sketching, planning, is for them to think about an alternative way to display their work. So if you didn't see that webinar on innovative display ideas, definitely go back and take a look at that one, because I present a lot of ideas that I found online that I'm also going to show to some of my students next year. So I do require students to mat their work. Like, we have an annual AP art show that I show students how to mat their work. And then we have a juried art show where students have to either pay for a mat, or, they can purchase a mat from us to mat their work. So just that basic idea of matting and displaying work is something that is being taught in classes. So I want to push it a little bit further in terms of thinking about an alternative way to display their work. So thank you so much for being here and going through this webinar form with me. Please do visit me on Godot Community, where you can ask questions, interact with other teachers from around the state of Georgia, and take part in the discussion. So thank you for being here. Again, my name is Sahira Dean. I'm the virtual PLC lead for high school 2D art. See you in the next one.